Okay, we are now ready to start painting our color wheel. Our color wheel's labeled. All of our colors are labeled. We have our brush, we have our knife to mix colors, paper towel, newspaper. And first I want to just explain the reason why we had to do this label, warm, cool, is because when you squeeze out the colors from these containers, which by the way, you squeeze them out from the bottom and you're supposed to store them on the cart with the bottom down. You can hardly tell the difference between the warm and cool blue. So it's really important that you understand the difference between the warm and the cool blue. I think warm yellow is easy to tell the difference from cool yellow, and also warm red is easy to tell from cool red. Now Chroma Acrylic came up with this system to make it easier to mix the colors that you want. And you may have learned in elementary school you can mix all the colors with the primaries, red, blue, and yellow, but it's not really true. You need more than one primary in order to get like bright violets or bright greens, and this is the system that Chroma Acrylic came up with. You can take a look at this laminated sheet in the painting cart. So I have my colors squeezed out and I'm ready to start mixing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just simply paint down the warm yellow. So I don't need to mix, right? Just take my brush and just paint this section that's the warm yellow. Okay, so, and I'm not going to grade on neatness. I'm going to grade on your color mixing. So if you go out of the lines, don't worry about it. All right, so then I got my warm yellow down. And now I have to clean my brush. So what I do is I wipe off on my newspaper. It's a little bit tricky with this document camera. So I just wipe off all my excess paint. So wipe off as much as I can on my sheet of newspaper. That's why you need a whole newspaper. Then I swish it in my bucket of water, which you can't see anymore. And I swish it until I get, and I use my fingers. Let me turn the document camera a bit. I use my fingers to kind of massage the bristles, because otherwise, you can't really see, but I'm taking and I'm massaging the paint with my fingers to get it all out of my brush. And now I'm going to squeeze the excess water from my brush. I'm going to turn my document camera back so you can see. So the reason you have a bucket of water at your table is you can just clean right at your table and save a lot of time. So now I'll just get the excess water out of my brush, and now I'm going to paint the cool yellow. So this is easy. I don't have to mix any colors. I just put down the cool and the warm. Now I don't have to clean my brush. I'm just going to set it down because now I'm going to mix a little bit of cool with a little bit of warm yellow, and I'm going to mix right here on my paper plate palette, and I'm going to mix it until I can see that I might have to use a little more of the cool because it's weaker than the warm. There we go, that looks good. So now I put my knife down and I just wipe the excess paint off my brush, and now I put down. So this color in the middle is a mix of the warm and the cool. So I said I'm not going to grade on neatness, but I'm going to grade on colors. I should be able to tell the difference between every yellow. Okay, so that looks really nice. Now I'm ready to go on to my yellow orange. I don't have to clean my brush, and I'll show you why. But I have to clean my knife. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to wipe it off on the newspaper, which is not easy for you to see because I don't have much space. Okay, I'm wiping it off, and then I can swish it in my bucket, and I can take my paper towel and just get it nice and clean. Just kind of get my knife nice and clean. And again, I hope you're painting along with me, and you can pause it at any time. Now I'm going to mix my yellow orange. So to make my yellow orange, I'm going to use my warm yellow. That's the Chroma Acrylic system. So I'm going to take some warm yellow, and I'm going to add warm red. How do I know that? I look at the color wheel, and the red that's closest to my oranges is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to use my warm red. And red is a strong color compared to yellow. So I'm going to take just a tiny bit of my warm, and look at what a small little bit I'm taking, just a tiny bit, and I'm going to then mix it into my warm yellow, and I should get a beautiful yellow orange. Okay. I feel like I maybe added too much red because I feel like that's like a lovely orange, but I want yellow orange, so I think I'm gonna get some more of the yellow. There we go. And I'm gonna mix. Yeah, that's better. That's a beautiful yellow orange. So I'm gonna mix it all up, and then I'm gonna take my brush, just wipe off a little bit because it has a bunch of yellow. I'm just wiping off on my newspaper, and now I'm gonna paint my yellow orange. And I didn't have to wash my brush in water because I'm still making oranges, so yellow is part of orange, so I really didn't have to. So there we go. I can tell the difference between my yellow orange and my warm yellow. So I'm ready now to mix my orange, so I don't have to clean my brush, and I don't have to clean my knife actually, because what I'm going to do is add some more red, and again, just a little bit, just a little. It's a small dab because it's a strong color. So I'm going to mix my orange. And the reason why I'm mixing with a knife instead of a brush is it saves your brushes. Like, knives are cheap and they last forever, probably, but brushes tend to be expensive. Well, not these are school student brushes. They're not terribly expensive, but if you're a professional artist, you can spend a lot of money on brushes. So you want to protect them. You don't want to mix with a brush. You'll wear it out. Okay, so that's a beautiful orange. So I'm going to grab my brush and I'm going to paint down that lovely orange. So do this right along with me so that you can get yours done while I'm doing mine. All right, so I have a beautiful orange. Now I'm going to just set my brush down. I don't have to clean it because now I'm going to make a red orange. So I'm going to add a bigger blob of red because I want a red orange, so it's going to be mostly red with a little bit of yellow. Oh, there we go. That is a beautiful red orange. I might add just a tiny bit more so I can really see that it's red orange. That looks good. Mix, mix, mix. Okay, now I'm gonna wipe my knife off because I have to clean it because my next colors are the reds. So I'm gonna wipe off that excess on the edge of my plate, and I'm gonna wipe off the excess orange on the edge of my plate. And now I'm going to get that beautiful red orange. And it's okay if you go over the lines. I'm not grading on neatness. I'm grading on your colors, if you can mix the colors. All right, so now I can tell the difference between my yellow orange and my red orange. Okay, now it's time to really clean my brush and my knife. So I wipe off. You can't see what I'm doing. I'm in the corner of my piece of paper, but I think you know how to do it. I wipe off as much as I can. You know, you can use the edge of your paper plate and then use your newspaper. Now I have to stand up and get to my bucket and swish, swish, swish. Don't splatter people. I just splattered my computer with a swish of water. So gently swish, and your bucket should only be about half full so you don't accidentally splatter. Now I swish in my bucket with my brush, and again I have to use my hands. I have to like massage the paint out of the bristles gently. And then I squeeze out the excess water, which you can't really see because it's too hard to move the camera. And now I'm going to just wipe the excess water off on my paper towel. Okay, so the next part's easy because we don't have to mix, right? So we're going to take that pure warm red and we're going to brush it down. And you'll notice if you put it on thin, it looks lighter because the white paper shows through. And if you put it on thick, you know, it does look a little bit darker. If you put it on thin, it's a little bit translucent, right? The light goes right through it. The paper shows right through it is what I should say. So there we have my warm red. And now we're going to put down our cool red. And so I'm going to, again, I have to, this time I got to clean my brush well. So I need to swish it in the water because I don't want just the pure cool red. So I massage it a little bit, swish it in the water, wipe it off on paper, squeeze the excess out with my fingers, and then wipe it off on paper towel to really dry it. Now, just simply brush down my cool red. You'll see it's a different shade of red. Now the reason why you need to understand this system is because if you want a bright violet, which I'll mix in a minute, you have to use a cool red. If you accidentally grab a warm red, your violet will be a little bit duller. Okay, so there's my cool red. And now I'm going to mix. So I'm going to take a little bit of warm, a little bit of cool, and again I'm going to take a little more warm than cool because the cool I think is a little bit stronger. And I'm going to mix these two together. And I'm going to get a red that's in between. And so I'm going to wipe off the cool red from my brush. I don't have to wash it in water, but just wipe the excess off. Then I'm going to put down this red that's in between. Oh, you know what? I can hardly tell the difference between my red and my cool red, so I am going to add a little more cool. So when I brushed it down, I noticed, oh, I can't really see much difference between these two. So I'm adding a little more cool. There we go. Okay, you're doing great. You're almost half done. Can you see that you're almost half done with your color wheel? There, that looks better. It's in between the two reds. Okay. And now I'm going to make my red violet. So I have to clean my brush completely. I'm wiping off. You can't see me because I don't want to move the camera. And I'm now going to use my water bucket and my hands, and I'm going to swish gently so I don't splash other people. And I'm going to wipe off my knife, and then I'm going to swish, use my fingers a little bit to get all the paint off. And then I'm going to dry my hands a little bit on the paper towel. They're a little bit wet from cleaning. Okay, so now I'm going to make my red violet. So I'm going to start with the cool red, and I'm going to use a warm blue. So I'm going to use my cool red. I'm going to use more red than blue. Blue is the strongest color. So here's my cool red. I just put it here. Now I'm going to take my warm blue. How do I know that? I look at the color wheel. It tells me warm blue to make violets. Cool red, warm blue. So I'm going to take my warm red and, my warm blue, and I'm going to add just a little, not much. And then I'm going to mix. And violet, they are the darkest colors. And so I might put it on a little bit on the thin side so that you can see. A violet without any white added to it tends to be quite dark. And when we start working with value, that means light and dark, you will probably want to add white to your violets. Okay, so I have my beautiful red violet, and I'm going to put it on a little thin so the white paper shows through so that you can see that it's a red violet. So I'm applying it on the thin side just so that I can see the color better. If I put it on thick, it looks quite dark. I'll put on a blob of thick just so you can see how dark it looks. It really looks dark. So you want to put it on a little bit thin. Now I'm going to take more blue, a little, but again, not a lot because blue is the strongest primary. And I'm going to mix, mix, mix until I get, ooh, I like that violet. That is a pretty violet. Okay. And I think I'll just wipe off my brush a little bit. So I'm wiping it off so that it has a little paint on it, but not much. So now I'm going to brush down that violet. And next, I'm going to make a blue violet, so I'm going to add more blue. Again, I have to use that warm blue. And I'm going to add to my violet. I think I'll add a little more. I can barely tell. There we go. That looks good. Okay, I like that blue violet. So now I'm gonna just wipe my brush off and get that beautiful blue violet and brush. Again, I'm not being very neat because I just want you to learn how to mix colors. Okay, so I have my 3 violets. Now it's time to do my blues or my greens, and I think I'll show you the greens first. So again, clean the brush really well. Wipe, 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 wipe. Clean the knife really well. Wipe it off on your newspaper first, and then swish in the water. Use your hands. You have to use your hands or you're not going to get your brush clean. But gently swish your brush. You don't want to be getting water all over the place. So now I am doing this by myself, obviously, and my bucket of water is still pretty clean. If it starts to get too dirty, just change it out. If there's 3 people at your table, your water's going to get a lot more use. So here I have my clean knife and brush. So I'm going to make my greens next. So I'm going to start with the cool yellow, and I'm going to add a cool blue. So here we have a cool yellow, and I'll make it right over here. And I'm going to add a cool blue. And I just need a little bit. See how little I took? Because, again, yellow is the weakest color, and blue is the strongest, so I really don't need much. Oh, look at that nice yellow green. I like that yellow green. All right, so I'm going to put it down in my yellow green spot. Ooh, that's a pretty yellow green. Okay, don't have to clean my brush or my knife, but I need to add more cool blue to my yellow green. And I might have added, I think I added too much. That is a beautiful blue green. I added too much. I sure did. So I got to add some more of this cool yellow. So get a blob of cool yellow. And that looks better. That's a nice green. I like that green. Brush down that green. That's a good green. And you know what to do next, right? You're going to add some more cool blue to that green. Mix your blue-green. Ooh, that's a nice blue-green. Oh, maybe I'll add a little more blue. There we go. I like that one better. Again, a blue-green is going to be a pretty dark color. So you may want to spread it on a little thin, just so you can see the color better. Well, that's a really pretty blue-green. I like it. And now I'm almost done. I need to do my blues. Clean my... I'm gonna just wipe off the edge of my plate so you can see, because on the newspaper you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just getting all the excess paint off. On my knife, I'm getting all the excess paint off. And now I go to my bucket, clean, clean, clean. I like my bucket system because if everyone was running to the sink every time they had to clean, it would take a lot of time and you'd have to wait because I only have 3 sinks. This way I got like 6 extra sinks in the room. Every table has a bucket of water. Okay, so my brushes are clean and I'm going to dry it a little bit on my paper towel. And this is easy, right? Cool blue, paint it down. Okay, wipe it off. I think I can just get by with wiping it off. I don't have to use water because I wiped. See how much I wiped it off? There's like hardly anything there. Just wipe, wipe, wipe. And I can get away with that. Now you need my warm blue. And you should be able to see the difference between the two blues. They're quite different. But you can't tell unless they're labeled. So you always need to label your blues. I think you'll get to the point where you can tell the cool red from a warm red, but the blues, you gotta read the label. And again, if you want a bright violet, you have to use that warm blue or you're gonna get a dull violet. And then my last thing, you know what to do, is to mix the warm and the cool together to get a blue that's in between the two of them. So look at that, we're almost done. And it's been 23 minutes. I would love it if you could get this done in one class period. Okay, so I'm gonna put that down in the middle. And there's one more thing I would like you to play around with, and that is making a neutral brown. And if you remember this, if you mix any 2 complementary colors together, you'll get a brown. So since I have a blue-green, and I'll look at my color wheel right across from blue-green looks like it's a warm red. So I already have this nice blue-green. I'm going to wipe my brush, and I'm going to wet it, and I'm going to clean it a little bit better, and I'm going to clean my knife. I'm going to wipe it off. I'm going to use water. And I'm going to mix the blue-green with the warm red, and I'm going to get a brown. So I'm going to add some red to this, and I'm going to mix with my knife, and I should get a shade of brown. So what I want you to do, just show me that you know how to mix complementary colors together to create brown. And then you're going to just take that brown and just brush it in the corner. I just want to make sure you know how to get a neutral brown. And it's a pretty dark brown, if you can see that. Just show me that you can mix 2 complementary colors to get a neutral color. All right, let's get going. Stop and pause whenever you need to, and try to get this done in one class period. Thank you.